Hello, Massachusetts Beer Review is back with you again. This time we have a Victory beer. This is a 22-ounce bomber of Victory Brewing's Helios Farmhouse Ale. This is, because it says it on the back here, it says that they use, in the beer, they use the Brettanomyces, which is Brett that's the terminology in the beer world. It's a type of a yeast strain that gives the beer, that gives a lot of Belgian-style beers sort of a funky, earthy, barnyardy flavor, which is considered an off flavor, but in a good way. If you've had any Belgian beers that got sour and funk to it, you know what I'm talking about. Pulling up the beer on the Victory's website, they talk about this beer being 7.5% ABV, using a two-row imported two-row malts. Excuse me. The hops are whole cone, flour German, Czech, and British. Apparently, they're mentioning that this is a reintroducing of the Helios Ale that is, at one point in time, it was called the V Saison. It's bottle conditioned. I believe that I bought this beer for under $5, so a good price for a good bomber of beer. This style was developed to refresh farm workers during harvest season in its native Belgium. Though such high alcohol is surprising to imagine as subtle for refreshment, it does seem to fit the Belgian philosophy on enjoyment of their beloved beer. Food pairings on their website for this beer include spicy foods and aged goat and sheep's milk cheeses. Year-round, guys, and occasionally you may find it on draft. This is going to be the third time I try this beer, so I will be keeping an open mind when it comes to this. They got the little V for Victory on their bottle cap, and I will be drinking this in a St. Bernardus chalice type glass. It says St. Bernardus 33 CL. So what do you get with the Helios Ale is a nice cloudy darker orange color. You can barely see through it. I'm trying to tell that there are all kinds of sediment in it. It's a lot of sediment, but they're very fine particles. They almost kind of look like salt or pepper inside of the glass. This won't give you a gigantic head, but what's here is a lot of different bubbles. Almost kind of looks like when you have poured out apple juice into a glass. But it looks like it's going to leave okay lacing, and it does have a little bit of leg from the 7.5 alcohol by volume. So it looks pretty good. Let's give the Helios a smell test. And right away, the things that you get are a lemony, grassy nose, and you do get a bit of a, I don't know if it's a white or a black pepper, kind of a spiciness there. You do get the Brett yeast, giving it the funky, barnyardy quality. It does have a nice sour note without taking over the nose. It does have a nice biscuity malt. And there is a good, again, with the malt, there is a good amount of a malty base here. It just smells bready and yeasty and funky. And lemony. With a little bit of orange, I suppose. So let's dive into the Helios. Cheers. And this is definitely got the black pepper spice and the lemon and the barnyard funk and a little bit of orange peel kind of flavor going on. It's tart. It's tart in the sense that apples are tart. It's got that kind of a tartness. The tartness is actually pretty refreshing on that. Very noticeable fruity quality. Like I said, lemons are in there and orange peels in there. And the sourness gives it a little bit of tang mixed with the pepper. Finishes on the peppery and sour side before it does start to dry. Mouthfeel is definitely, I would have to say, medium to full, but more definitely on the medium side. It's no charge. It's definitely crisp, and it's not really clean tasting, but that's just a Belgian funky beer for you. No fault there, and it is ridiculously refreshing for such a giant ABV beer that's designed to be refreshing. So yeah, at 7.5. I mean, I suppose there's a little bit at first of an indication that there is a little bit more alcohol in this than your typical American light lagers and adjunct lagers, but it still is pretty palate friendly there. I'm not really noticing there's a whole bunch of lace in here. I'm just noticing that there's a little bit of stickiness to the glass, a little bit of legs on it. It does have a little bit of a sweet malty presence with that grassy kind of a quality and the tropical fruits of lemon and orange and the funky sour barnyard tartness going on. I have reviewed this on Beer Advocate, and my rating on that was a 4.5 out of 5, and I think I'm gonna stick to that on the Helios here. This is, I would have to think, not just at under $5 a 22-ounce glass of this, 22-ounce bottle of this, but that's one of the reasons why it gets that rating. Just so easy to drink. It is refreshing. It is very nice and easy on the palate. I don't know how much better you may try some Allagash beers, try some Oma Brewery, Oma Gang beers. This one's pretty good as far as American style Belgian ales are concerned. This would definitely get around a 93, a 95. For me, the only issue I could have with the beer, if I need to find one, would be a lot of that upfront sweetness and tartness is a little bit much. If they took out a little bit of that bready character, Brett-y character, the yeast, it would be even more quenching. But this isn't like drinking Blue Moon for sure. It's not quite as watery and bland as that. Although that's not really a bland beer. Nice and spicy and yeasty and barnyardy and lemony and orangey, and tart like apples. I will give this, again, this gets an A+. This retains the 4.5 out of 5 rating. This will retain a 93, 95 out of 100-ish rating. So, this Helios Ale is under $5 for one of these bottles. I would suggest if you found one, if you ever see this Helios Ale, pick it up and try it. I might even think that this would go good with poultry or seafood. Try it with Thanksgiving. I think this would be a great beer with Thanksgiving, guys. So, let's go with an A+ on the Helios Farmhouse Ale by Victory. This has been Massachusetts Beer Reviews. Keep tasting those great beers. We will see you soon.